Hi, friends. Welcome to the Putting You Back Together Again show. I'm Rochelle Booker, aka Coach Ro.
And I'm CJ Joseph, CEEJAY, her part-time co-host. And we are happy, excited, and elated that you are joining us again for another episode of Putting You Back Together Again.
Yes.
Coach Ro, talk to the people.
All right. Well, last week we kicked off a new series, if you recall, Hot Summer Love.
Woo!
And part one was If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. And we'll pick back up with that series in July.
Yeah.
If you've grown tired and weary of loving the wrong person,
Whoa.
or your love has fizzled out,
Whoa.
then you want to definitely tune in to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Getting into relationships can be fun and exciting. However, getting out of them can be painful, not just emotionally and mentally, but also financially. You might have to pay up to get out of it.
Show me the money.
So we want to help you minimize that impact. Today, we are talking about before and after I let go. Let me say that again. Before and after I let go. Divorce and custody situations. And we have a very special guest joining us today. Who's with us today, CJ?
Well. Born and raised in Matagorda County, Texas. I have no idea what that is. And completed her BA at Hunter College in New York, graduating cum laude and with highest honors in sociology. She's smart, y'all. She obtained her law degree in 2010 from the University of Denver Sturm College of Law and is licensed to practice law by the State Bar of Texas. She focused her practice on estate planning and probate law, family law, and guardianship law. I introduce to some and present to others. Attorney EVELYN Gordon.
Thank you, CJ.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your litigious schedule to join us on this show today. Very important topic as well.
That's
so let's get it rolling.
Okay. And by the way, her middle initial is L, which stands for litigator, right?
Not family members
Well, we're going to kick it off and we're going to focus on the before aspects of letting go, and then we'll connect it with the after. What do you do after you let go,
including custody stuff too?
That's right. Divorce and custody. Those are very, very important.
Yes.
So I'm sure you're glued to your seats, y'all. I hope you are. So EVELYN, we're going to talk about the impacts of divorce, right? So let's talk about, because we want to get people mentally prepared, even if they haven't started the process. We want them to get mentally prepared of what it may look like when they go through it, right? So let's talk about common law situations. There's fact and there's fiction, because I've always heard of common law as being living or shacking with someone for 2 years. Is that true?
I mean, it might be 2 years by the time you decide to separate, but unfortunately, Rochelle, yes, the majority of people have a misunderstanding as to what it means to be common law married. And it could be, based on your understanding, could be far simpler than what you believe, or far more complicated than you believe. But the law in Texas is very clear that to prove a common law marriage, you must, one, prove there's an agreement to be married. You agree to be married. After you've made that agreement to be married, you move in together. And after you move in together, then you start to hold yourself out as married. Those are the three criteria. So if you notice, I didn't put anywhere in there whether that's 2 years, 2 hours, 2 minutes.
Right.
Okay. All three prongs are there. We agree to be married. We live together as husband and wife after we agree to be married, and that we're holding ourselves out as married. Now, that third part will obviously prove the other two, but it gets a little tricky. That's where a lot of people get hung up on the holding.
Very
out,
interesting.
One party might be holding out,
but the other's
and
not.
the other party may not be. So that's tricky. And then it's not so easy to prove.
Right.
But then again, if both people are in the same place and they're being legitimate with each other,
Right.
honest with each
Right.
other as to what they feel about one another, then it should be fine. Should be
Right.
fine.
Should be fine.
Yes.
Now, and speaking on the vein of common law,
Mhm.
not every state has a common law, correct?
Most states
do.
do, but
Most states do?
I'm not.
Okay.
I wouldn't venture to say every state.
Okay.
But most states have some form of common law
Okay.
marriage. Now, Texas does allow you also to complete what's called a declaration of common law marriage,
Uh-huh.
and that I believe is one true way to make sure you and your
Mhm.
significant other are
Mhm.
on the same.
That would be some type of certificate or something.
Yes. To the county clerk's website, and they
Okay.
have it there, and it's kind of
Okay.
like common law.
Okay.
Oh, I got
Okay.
you. So if your boo is not introducing you as his wife or her, your spouse, his or her spouse, then you're not holding that person to that agreement. It's null and
Right.
void.
If one partner is not consistent in
Yeah,
that, then
yeah.
that could be a headache
Mm.
down the road.
Or
And-
you're just saying, hey, here's my common law.
right.
How many
Common
people
law
do
what?
that? Common law what?
I've ran into some people, some
Yeah.
clients
Mhm.
that would say it's,
Oh.
this is my common law.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm not sure how the other person feels about that,
Right.
but those are some interesting information. Now, besides the obvious reasons in
Right.
returns of, domestic violence, cheating and things like that, how does a person know when it's time to divorce?
That's a good question, and I think each person has to reach
Their own
that threshold
decision.
and decision on their own.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
I have found
Mhm.
in my course of working with families on dissolution of marriages,
Mhm.
that's a more difficult and
Mm.
longer term for men to reach.
Yeah.
Really?
But
For men. Mhm.
yes, good husbands, and we have good husbands and good
Oh,
fathers.
yeah,
There are
absolutely.
times we
Yeah.
do have
Yes.
excellent
Yeah.
husbands and excellent fathers.
We
It's
do.
not always the male's fault, and we hate to say one fault or the other. People just
Yeah.
kind of grow away from
Grow
each other.
apart.
Yeah.
Um,
It's amazing how you see a couple like on
Mhm.
their, if you're able to go to their wedding, to
Mhm.
attend their wedding,
right.
and then how somehow
Mhm.
from that blissful day,
Mhm.
Yes.
it just depends upon if it's a year,
Mhm.
Yeah.
3 years,
Dissipates.
it just
Yeah.
goes,
apart.
and it's incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
It really is. It's like a butterfly, or a caterpillar turned to a butterfly, like it's a transition,
Mhm.
right? But it's very interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though, as far as when you are mentally ready,
Huh.
emotionally
Right.
ready, because there are
Huh.
also people who stay married for the wrong reasons because it's cheaper to keep her. And so, and it's that, and it's the image. They want to uphold this image. Oh, what will people think about me
Mhm.
or about us if we split up and
Mhm.
divorce? But you're not even happy. You guys are miserable, but you're more concerned about what other people think, what society thinks, than you are about your own peace of mind and happiness.
Mhm.
It's very interesting.
Wow.
Psychology.
Well, there's also that old adage that you don't know a person till you live with them.
Oh,
That's true.
Oh,
So
People
that's a
change.
lot of it.
Yeah.
do you like your
you know.
toilet paper in or out?
Well, I mean, it's very difficult, and I think sometimes what goes into it is what age we get married.
No,
I
Yeah.
think the later
It's
we
true.
get married in
true.
life, you have bring your own level of independence to
Yeah.
a marriage, and if
That's
you're
true.
not used to
Yep.
sharing, and-
Oh yeah,
and
boy.
I'm not a morning person,
Yeah.
and all of those things.
Yep.
There's a lot of
Hmm.
thought process that goes into it.
Yeah. Mm.
I'm a fan of if you can do counseling
There you
before
go.
Yeah.
going
Yes.
into a marriage,
Yep.
And that's
that
Yeah.
would resolve a lot of
And
it.
that's another show. What to do before saying I
Mhm.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And also being honest with yourself, right? Because the
Ooh.
vast majority of the time,
Yes.
if you listen to individuals tell you kind of the reason they're
Mhm.
going their separate ways,
Mhm.
there's some aspect of that they
Yeah.
knew going into the marriage,
That
or
is
they picked
true.
up on.
They picked up.
And you bring up a great point.
Mhm.
With my bride, we talked about some things years ago. It'll be
Right.
almost 14 years coming in on
Awesome,
August.
awesome.
And one of the things she brought up years ago, and
Mhm.
even to this day, where you can't go into the marriage thinking that you're going to get divorced,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right? If you have those thoughts
Mhm.
already,
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, see, now that's a good point because a lot of people bring up prenups. So if you're talking about prenups, aren't you thinking about possibility of getting a divorce?
well, and that's what I had brought up when I didn't have no money back then either.
You wrote up a prenup.
Let me cover myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case.
But from a business aspect,
Mhm.
and I actually have a couple of questions about that.
Okay.
You want to make sure your quote unquote assets that you obtained,
Protected.
especially when you talked about getting married later in life, because you've
Sure.
acquired some things,
Sure.
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to when one spouse wants a divorce
Mhm.
and the other one doesn't,
Ooh.
eh,
Wow, they contested.
how do you navigate those waters?
That's a tough situation.
Yeah,
And I do get cases like that.
right.
Unfortunately, if you want, I have literally had clients say to me, "Well, can he refuse to give me a divorce, or can she refuse to give?" And the reality of it is, a person cannot refuse to divorce you. Well, they can, but the law will not. The law says you don't need a reason to get a divorce.
Oh,
Huh.
see,
Yes.
like you don't need a reason for a company to fire you. At will state.
Absolutely.
will,
At
you
will
know,
state. I like that. At will
You
marriage.
like that at will marriages?
Yeah.
But we call it we're no fault divorce.
No.
There's some
Wow.
there's some murmurings that Texas wants to get away from no
Ooh,
fault.
Really?
Uh-oh.
The reality of it is that that's a whole nother women's rights.
Yeah, it sure
Right there.
is. So
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
sure and look at this stuff before you guys vote for your elected official in November. But hey, CJ, to that point too, I think I was reading about New Jersey saying there's a waiting period before you can file for divorce or before they will move
Really?
the divorce through the courts.
Well, Texas also. 60
There's
days.
is it
Oh.
The day
okay.
you file for a divorce, the law says the judge cannot actually sign a divorce decree for 60 days.
Oh,
But
just in
that
case
should
of
not-
change of heart.
yeah,
Right, and people do
Okay.
change their
Okay.
minds.
gotcha.
But that doesn't mean that in those, that you can be denied a divorce.
Right.
Okay.
Well, if you're just joining us, good people, you're on the Putting You Back Together Again show. We're talking about basically the before and after I let go, divorce and custody situations with attorney EVELYN Gordon. Now call in at 832-560-2885 or send in your chat to join in on the conversation to let us know what your situation is like.
Yes. Have you been through it or thinking about going through it? We want to hear about it. Yes. And so we are still talking about the before aspects of getting a divorce. So we talked about the common law, and also we want to talk about the financial aspect of alimony. So what does alimony look like, or is there alimony in Texas?
So to be clear, Texas is not an alimony state.
Oh, did you guys hear that? No alimony in Texas.
You get nothing.
And so what we mean by that is normally when you hear alimony, you think of states like California, where you divorce a spouse and the spouse is paying you support as long as you don't remarry, maybe for the rest of your life. Texas is not a alimony state.
Wow.
We do have what's called spousal maintenance, but there's threshold requirements for meeting that. They're very difficult. And there's usually a time limit as to how long that can last. Now, it could be spousal maintenance on a temporary basis. During that 60 days we talked about while the divorce is pending, or more like 6 months to a year it takes some couples to actually finalize a divorce.
Gotcha.
There might be some temporary support during that period, but Texas is a very conservative state. They're not looking to be known as a alimony state. They, in specific circumstances, there might be temporary or spousal maintenance for 5 to 10 years, but you would really need to show that you cannot meet the very basic needs from day to day.
Oh,
wow.
That's tough.
Wow.
Not everyone is going to get approved for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can say in over 10 years in practicing family law in Texas, not one of my cases has ended with long-term spousal.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So
Because
it's-
remember, most you're dividing property already.
Oh, that's right.
So usually by the
That's right.
time you do that 50-50, I know men hate to hear that,
Half.
at least, then, if there's retirement accounts to be divided,
that
there's
too.
a house to be sold, net proceeds.
Wow.
So that right there is going to disqualify you because you're probably going to be walking away
Right.
with some money to meet
Yeah.
your basic needs
Right.
until
That's
you
true.
get back on your feet. Mhm.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Yes.
true.
Well, good people, we are not sponsorless. So we are going to
Yes.
go to a sponsor commercial with this show. Malcolm, play that tune for us.
Yes, sir. On the way right now. We'll be right back, everybody. This is another edition of
Putting you back together again.
In the world of law, there are no shortage of lawyers, but one that you can trust, that list is short. The law office of Evelyn Gordon is one such lawyer that you can put your trust in. Ms. Gordon has over 20 years of experience in the legal field and over 14 plus years as a practicing attorney in family, estate planning, and probate, guardianship, and appeals. Her care, compassion, and concern for her clients is unrivaled, and her team is dutifully dedicated because your family matters to them. Her litigation and trial practice experience are expansive, and with the complexities of estate planning, her level of comprehension is profound. One such client states, quote, "Perhaps the most effective attorney in the city, as my case appeared to be hopeless, but she won." Close quote. To have the law office of Evelyn Gordon on your side, please contact her office at 713-489-3397, where your family matters to them.
Take a bow.
Yes.
Trust me, I
This
gave
is-
nothing
yeah.
to work with.
This is our brilliant legal mind attorney here, Miss Evelyn Gordon. Yes, awesome. Okay, so getting back to it. Now we talked about divorce. Oh, by the way, just going back to common law. So when you say we went through the elements of common law, is it the same terms as a regular marriage as a divorce, or there's some different stipulations when you go through that divorce proceeding?
Well, right. I like that question, Rosie. I like that question because it reminds me of a couple other excellent questions. But yes, once you've proven that there is a
Mhm.
common law marriage, you must get a divorce.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
the same way as a regular marriage.
Wow.
Now, if you don't, I mentioned briefly about there's a declaration
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
of common law marriage. If you have that, the first thing you need to ask the court is to rule that there is a marriage.
Right.
But
Okay.
then from there you would get a divorce. But absolutely, once you've signed that
Wow.
declaration, you have to you end the marriage by getting divorced.
Divorce.
Otherwise, the next marriage would be bigamy.
You'll be a bigamist in jail, going to prison.
And I would also like to add, and I actually get calls about this, and so I say it lightheartedly, but I want to continue to remind people it is not possible for you to be common law married to
Mhm.
someone who never got a divorce,
Oh,
form a
Ooh.
formal marriage.
that sounds like some TV drama. Oh,
Oh my
And so,
goodness.
I mean, literally, and the calls can be heartbreaking, so I don't want to be too lighthearted about it.
yeah.
I mean, literally,
That's true.
I've gotten calls from someone who they believe their husband had passed
Yeah.
away. We lived together for 25 years. I tried to get his benefits, and I found out he's not divorced. I said, so he's not your husband.
He's-
Oh.
That's right. Oh.
So
we have a comment
You
here.
have a chat coming in?
Okay. So is she a good family lawyer? Excellent family lawyer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes. We're going to put her contact information up on the web, on the chat page, so that you guys can contact her directly.
Yes, and she also provide complimentary. That's free, y'all.
Yes.
Free
Consultation.
by phone. Yeah, don't try to meet up somewhere.
Yes.
All right.
Amplify that.
By
message.
phone,
Yes.
okay, by telecommunication system, okay, but complimentary consultations to assist you in deciding if you want to go with her as your attorney. And I would give her a wholehearted yes. We got something else coming in,
Another,
Malcolm. Talk to us.
I don't want to get back with my ex.
Well, expound on that.
Yeah, call in.
Yeah, call in
Top Boy, can you
832
call in, Top Boy.
832 5602 885. Give us a call.
Yeah.
And is that an X as far as just your boo, X as far as your common
Yeah,
law,
the common
or
law.
X as in your married?
And did you
Right.
sign a declaration?
Right.
Okay. Hopefully. he
Now,
calls in.
when we're talking about divorce in regards to that, how long, and I know
Mhm.
it can vary depending upon the situation, but
Right.
generally, how long does it take to get a divorce in Texas?
Mhm.
And is Texas a good state to get married / divorced in? Is it more friendly than other states?
Well, probably for those who want to avoid alimony.
Yeah, absolutely. Great state. For men, I guess, not for
God
women.
dog it.
Not for women.
I should have waited.
Absolutely. And by and large, it depends on a lot of factors. It depends on how contentious the parties
That's
are, right?
Yeah.
Drama,
It depends on whether it's what we call a no fault. Sometimes it's straightforward. It's a year, 2 year ends. Hey, you're a year or 2 year into a marriage. This is not going to work.
Mhm.
We have a no fault. We have a uncontested divorce.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That means we agree we should
Okay.
be divorced. We
Yeah.
agree on all the
Let's
terms.
move on.
Okay.
Then, as we
Gotcha.
said before, that's a 60 to 90-day divorce.
Right.
Then other factors are what county you're in. Harris County is obviously an
Mm.
enormous county.
Right.
So you're looking at least maybe a year for a contentious divorce,
Okay.
whereas
Oh, my
in
goodness.
Fort Bend, well, I'll say Fort Bend or Montgomery, where they're, especially Montgomery County, very meticulous about pushing his cases through. It can be done in 6 to 9 months.
Oh.
But when all is said and done, it's really going to depend on the parties.
Okay.
How contentious they are. Are they asking the court to divide pots and pans?
Yeah.
Or are they just asking the court? Listen, I was in the courtroom one day in Montgomery County, and the judge just started screaming. He just started screaming. He's like, I'm not dividing those pots. I promise you, I'll make you guys hold garage sale. And he just started yelling. And everybody was just.
It wasn't fine china. It was just pots and pans.
I was like, no, that's not my job.
Oh my
Yeah, that's not
goodness.
his
So
job.
it really depends on
Okay.
the parties.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
let's
no.
transition
Yes.
into custody. So we can look at some of the custodial aspects when you go through a divorce, because you've got children. That's very important because the kids get tied up into all of this as well. So let's talk about there's joint and sole custody. So what are the
Absolutely.
differences between the two?
So sole managing conservatorship, which, a lot of times, and rightfully so, that's kind of what we hear. We use terms every day as custody, but when you get within the court system, it's conservatorship.
Okay.
So when we
Okay.
say, because both parties, and that's, a lot of times one of the most heartbreaking calls you can get from men, because they assume, okay, I'm in a divorce. I'm never going to be able to see my children because the mom gets the children.
Right.
And really, it's just one parent will determine the primary residence, and one parent will have a possession schedule. But that parent who has a possession schedule in Texas, again, and this goes back to your question, is Texas a good state to get divorced in?
Okay.
And for this reason, yes, because Texas makes sure that fathers have their time with their children.
Go on,
We're not just
Texas.
about paying child support, but we're about fathers being actively involved in their children's
They can
lives.
be dads.
So for Texas, even if you don't determine the primary residence where your child lives, you're still going to see your child at least 47 to 50% of the time.
Well,
Wow.
Texas got something right. I
Yes.
love that.
Wow, that's
We
amazing.
got another comment from
Yeah.
Top Boy, Bowlegs. What motion would I have to file for my visiting rights?
So again, I need to know if he's married or if he's just needs a
Top boy.
possession order.
Yeah,
Bowlegs. Call in
Give us a call.
832-560-2885. Pick up the phone, 832-560-2885. Give us a call and ask that question to our attorney, EVELYN Gordon, extraordinaire.
Yes. There you
And
go.
I guess in case others have the question, if you're going through a divorce, then your possession schedule, your custody rights, all of those things are going to be within that divorce case.
Okay.
But if you're a father of a child and you're not married, then you're going to file what's called a suit affecting the parent-child relationship. And that's how you're going to get your visitation.
Repeat that again. What
A
is it?
suit affecting the parent-child relationship. That's the
Oh.
official name for it.
That's a litigious word, y'all.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You know, in custody suit. I know y'all like to hear custody, but we kind
Yeah.
of cringe at it because
Okay.
both parents are really going to the judges ideally want to make sure both parents are going to
Yeah.
continue to participate
Mhm.
in bringing up their children.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Which makes sense.
they
Yeah,
like to
it's
say
important.
the parents
Mhm.
have determined they're not good for each other. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean they're not good parents. You might not be
Yeah.
a perfect spouse, but it doesn't
Right.
mean you're not a good parent.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's always the goal. So sole conservatorship actually has to do with rights. Who's going
Oh.
to determine medical decisions?
Mhm.
Who's going to
Mm.
determine where the child goes to school?
Okay.
Those types of things. So when someone is asking for sole conservatorship,
Mhm.
they think they're asking to have possession of the child 100% of the time,
That's not
but
the
that's
case.
not what conservatorship
That's not the case.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's literally highly unlikely to happen. Of course,
Okay.
there are some extenuating circumstances
Right.
with abuse or
Gotcha.
something.
Right. Right.
A
Yeah.
parent might not be
But
seeing.
I
the child.
love that fact and fiction. So we're providing clarity. So I
Mhm.
hope you guys are taking notes on this. And so in that same light, we talk about child custody. Now, if there's an adulterer, one of the spouses have committed adultery, does that impact a person's rights to custody?
And a great question, and absolutely not. And for the reason I just said,
Mhm.
courts, by and large, their position is parents are not great spouses. Doesn't mean they're not a great parent.
Great parent. Okay.
Okay.
And so
Good to know.
do the majority of people believe that? Yes.
Yes.
But that's an aspect of wanting to punish the person.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the courts are just not there to do that.
You're not
Hmm.
there. Wow.
Now, when you have multiple kids
Sure.
and you have, let's say, a daughter and a son,
Mhm.
right? And you may have a daddy's girl,
Mm-hmm.
and you may have a mommy's boy, what
Mhm.
have you.
Mhm.
What role does the kids play in deciding which parent they want to actually live with?
Okay, excellent question. So the courts, their threshold is the best interest of the child.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, if a child is at least 12 years old,
Okay.
you can ask the court to confer with that child separately outside the presence of the parents
Mhm.
Huh.
and see if they have a presence. But we stop short of saying they're going to determine it because
Okay.
we don't know if there's been some influence,
That's
outside
true,
influence one
influence.
way
Sure.
or the other.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or if they're saying, I want to live over here because, hey, it's hang out to
Yeah.
midnight. If you make it to school, you make
That's
it
right.
to school. So,
True.
but a lot of times, it may be that a child 12 years or older can articulate
Mhm.
Okay.
some
That's
things
true.
to a judge
Okay.
that resonates with them and say, yes, it's really is in the best interest
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
child to
Okay.
go. But most people say, oh, isn't it true my child can determine where they live at 12?
Mm.
They can speak to the judge and express their preference.
Mhm.
It does not mean the judge has to grant what their preference
Yeah.
is.
No, that's
Okay.
that's a great point because it does go back to, okay, who are they having the most fun with in terms of where there's less, rules,
Right.
and less
Discipline.
pressure. Yeah, less pressure to conform to certain, things going on in the house. So you want to, I think you just really, that's a fine line to walk. It's a tight
Oh,
rope to
absolutely.
Yeah.
walk.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that does play into outside influence over,
Right.
okay, well, I have more fun at my dad's house. Yeah, he doesn't have any rules and restrictions, so I can
Absolutely.
do whatever I want.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
not good for the child because if that child's spoiled,
Mhm.
then this child becomes entitled. So that doesn't help
Oh,
to
right.
promote healthy growth, wellness, and development,
Mhm.
emotional development for children.
Well, and the downside of that to the parent who's saying, easy go,
Right,
do whatever you want
right,
here.
Mhm.
right.
I always caution clients,
Mhm.
parents, just in everyday conversation, this generation of children
Yeah.
are very wise and
Very.
very alert.
Very. Oh my
And
gosh.
they perceive the dynamics going on between divorcing parents.
That's true.
Be very careful the amount of leverage you give teenage children.
Oh,
over
good
Yep.
point.
it could come back
Yep.
to bite you.
We have a comment coming in.
Yes, y'all. Excuse me for just a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Boleg says he's called in and it's not calling. It's not. It's ringing. It's ringing. It's ringing. So I'm going to call him. So could you please ask him for his number?
Okay, Mr. Bolegs, send in your number in the chat to our producer Malcolm, so you can call him, and then we'll go from there. Go ahead.
Please please, Mr. Bolegs, type it in on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm watching all of your comments. If you would please put it in the comments, I will copy paste it and I'll call you right quick.
And now it is time for our second commercial break. So let's go ahead and run that, and then we'll come back to Mr. Bolegs.
We'll be right back, everybody. This is another edition of the Putting You Back Together Again show on Real Talk 100 Radio.
Awesome.
You know you're about to experience a little taste of joy when you hear these words. Who's next? Who's Next Now Barber and Beauty Studio by Lena, Pat, and their capable team will create an oasis for your hair. With over 30 years of experience, from fades to cut and coloring, eyelash extensions, products, and so much more, Who's Next Now is deeper than hair. Located at 1702 1st Street East, Suite C in Humble, 77338. For your deeper than hair appointment, call 832-405-9587. Who's Next Now Barber and Beauty Studio. It's deeper than hair. Together Again show where we are talking before and after I let go divorce and custody situations with attorney extraordinaire EVELYN Gordon. Now we talked about custody with children.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really get attached to their pets. How does that work out? If there are maybe one or two or three or four different pets in the house, and the couples are basically entangled and fighting over those pets, how does that play into the court decision of who gets who?
It's actually only come up in one of my cases.
Really?
The judge really just had to intervene. It's just one of those cases where everything's so contentious they don't.
How are you?
Turn your volume down, brother. Turn your volume down, brother. You're live on the air. Turn your volume down.
Got some background noise going on there. Can you adjust?
Oh, that's y'all.
Yeah, turn your volume down.
I got it now.
Okay.
All right. So yes, Miss Gordon is here with us in the studio. So what's your question? What's on your mind?
Yeah, talk to us.
She asked was a white, not an ex-girlfriend.
What'd she say?
What'd you say?
I think he said it's
Ex-girl.
It's an ex-girlfriend.
So it's your ex, you don't want to get back with your ex. Is there any
No, I want to do that.
Is there any custody situations or property schisms that have developed between you and your ex-girlfriend that you need to resolve?
Visitation.
Okay. Visitation of the kids, correct?
Not the pet.
With my daughter.
Okay. So what you're saying is you're not allowed to visit her at this point in time, correct?
No, when we went to she had a situation where CPS got involved with her. And we ended up going to court, and the court ordered that I have visitation rights, like we split between like summer breaks or holiday breaks and stuff like that. Okay.
So you have that in writing. So you have a court order stating what your periods of possession are. Is that correct, sir?
And I'd have presented that situation to the judge recently, because she just had another case ball. She moved from where she was living. She was living in Orange County, Texas.
So when you say you presented that to the judge, you filed a motion for enforcement?
And I told the judge in the courtroom that she wasn't standing on all the allegations that they told us to do at the present time.
All right, so you need to file a motion for enforcement of your possession schedule. Does that make sense?
Because it's like, I call her, like since the summer started, I called her, see if she gonna let her come for the summer, because I let her keep her all last year because she didn't have custody of the kids at all.
Bolegs, this is Malcolm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear Miss Gordon when she speaks?
Can you hear Miss Gordon?
What she said?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. So it's sounding to me like you need to file a written document that's called the motion for enforcement of possession.
So would I have to file it in Orange County, Texas, or could I file it in Houston? Harris County.
You file it in the same court that you got your orders from.
Okay, that's in Harris County.
Yes.
And then how would he go about doing that?
Actually, there's you would hire an attorney,
Here we go.
or if he's not able to afford an attorney, if you go to a website, it's called texaslawhelp.org. Texas.
Oh, I did that.
So all
They told me I wasn't qualified.
no, so the website I'm giving you, sir, is just a website that has the forms and the instructions as to how to complete the forms. And it's a very helpful website. Those forms are designed by practicing lawyers here in the state of Texas. And again, it's texaslawhelp.org. And you should be able to find an instruction packet there. If you're not able to afford a lawyer for yourself, you should be able to find an instruction package there on how to file a motion for enforcement of possession, because I can assure you that judges take parents not being allowed to see their children, especially after they've signed an order. They take that very seriously. In fact, most of them take it more seriously than an enforcement for child support.
Wow.
I think that's why she left that county and came to Harris County, so they wouldn't be able to mess with her as much.
Okay, so did your order give her the okay to move outside of Orange County, or is she in violation?
I'm staying in Harris County. She was staying in Orange County.
Okay.
And the orders were filed
In Orange County. Where is she right now? Where does she live right now?
She's in Harris. She's staying northeastern.
Okay, so she's back in Harris County.
Right. It sounds to me, I might be misunderstanding him, but it sounds to me like they got an order in Orange County and mom and family in Harris County.
Right.
And so I don't have enough information to know if that aspect is a violation in itself, because most possession schedules limit the range as to one parent can move for that very reason, because parents will move for no other reason than to deprive the other parent of possession. So I would urge you to continue to pursue that. How old is your child?
She just made 10 this year.
How old?
10? Say 10 years?
Yes, ma'am.
10.
Yes, I would urge you to pursue that aggressively, because I think you will find that the courts will take that very seriously.
Yeah. So, any other questions, Mr. Bolex? Thank you so much.
Okay, that's all.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Bolex.
you. We wish you well. Thank you. Okay.
Wow, that's a very, as Ron DMC had a song back in the day, it's tricky.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Tricky,
It's very
tricky.
Yeah. So that's why Ms. Gordon here is doing a fabulous job in helping to navigate through this maze, because it is tough. It's tough.
Right. And a common situation where, again, one parent continues to want to punish the other parent for the relationship or the marriage not working out. You know what happens a lot of times? Parents are fine when they first break up.
Yeah.
And everybody's following the orders.
Yeah.
And then one parent gets a new spouse.
And all the drama unfolds.
It's like, oh no, you're a horrible parent. Oh,
they get some new gin and juice.
Yeah.
Well, I think, and then especially that parent that recognizes some child support going out of their house every month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all kind of rationales that go into, but it really is very serious.
It's very serious.
And again, Texas courts are adamant. We're not. Yes, we're going to force parents to be responsible and pay child support, but we're absolutely going to enforce what's in the best interest of the child, and that's both parents being actively involved in the child's life. And so our caller raised an excellent point, because that is a common aspect of what some parents will do to deprive the other person of time, is they'll continue to move farther and farther away. So usually you're always going to have a geographic restriction in a custody order.
That's good to know. And the main thing is, let's stay focused on the main thing, and that's the children.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Too many people get caught up in, like you said, they get a new boo or a new spouse, and you just want to start acting crazy. Now, when you do that, that's having a negative impact on the
On the
emotional
child.
development of the
absolutely.
children.
Absolutely.
And people are losing sight of that.
Mhm.
That's what we
Absolutely.
need to stay focused on. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that judges will take more seriously the custody versus the child support.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because you're placing the child in the middle. And
Yep.
again,
Yeah.
the child didn't ask to be born.
That's
Nope.
right.
The
Thank
child
you.
had no role in
Right.
you deciding to go separate ways.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, as you say, also the psychological and the developmental
mhm.
issues.
Mhm.
Those are very serious issues
That's
Wow.
right.
that get involved in depriving the child.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
well, we hope you get everything worked out, Mr. Bowleg, so you can get
Absolutely.
the chance to see your
Yes.
daughter to be daddy's girl. Got a comment coming in, Malcolm?
Another comment.
Yes,
What's
yeah.
that?
Well, talk to us.
Mr. Bowlegs is asking, what was the link again, Miss Gordon?
Oh, it's
Text.
www.texaslawhelp
HELP.
.org.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Now we want to transition to the after I let go. You know, the first half of our show, we focus on the before aspects. Now it's, well, now what after I let go? And so one of the big things that we really need to focus on and tackle are finances. So sometimes in a lot of cases, someone like one of the spouses, usually the husband, may make a big payment out to the wife or ex-wife. And so that ex-wife maybe has never worked or had the opportunity to manage the finances, because in some households, let's be honest, men manage the finances. So when you're getting that big payout, not in his, the woman's running a show at CJ. Or his wife is
Nope.
running
I didn't say that. Don't put that out there.
Oh.
She runs she is the CFO of the
Okay.
household.
And so
But there's a hierarchy.
and so if the man has been accustomed to doing that, and now you've got all of this money, a big lump sum payment, it's like, oh, the first thing you want to do is go and splurge and spend it on a new car or some new, things, some material things, and you're not thinking about the long-term impacts of managing your finances, getting some resources or coaching, because I'm a financial coach, and understanding how to put that money to work, how to invest it, right? So I'm sure that happens more often than not that you see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Planning financially, planning prior to filing for divorce. It's kind of what, as you mentioned, you're a financial coach. It's kind of goes back to that guideline of always being reminded to have 6 months emergency
That's it.
funds.
That's right.
That's also important if you're planning a divorce, because
right.
again, we don't want you to be making the assumption that I'm going to file for divorce and my husband's or my wife is going to take care of me.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
I also want to caution, because we do have very successful women now.
Yes.
And so,
yes. Absolutely.
And so I say that to say this: when you go to a divorce lawyer or you come into my office, please be reminded it's everybody's assets.
That's right.
It's not that, well, that's my retirement account. Only his retirement accounts get.
Mhm.
So these are some difficult conversations that sometimes have to come up.
Okay, Mr. Bowlegs. Okay, thanks again, and God bless you all and your families.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And on that note, we're going to pivot to another sponsorship commercial at the 45 hour. Malcolm, play that tune, sir.
Yes, sir. We'll be right back, everybody. This is another edition of the Putting You Back Together Again show on Real Talk 100 Radio. This is another sponsorship commercial. We'll be right back.
In the world of law, there are no shortage of lawyers, but one that you can trust, that list is short. The law office of EVELYN Gordon is one such lawyer that you can put your trust in. Ms. Gordon has over 20 years of experience in the legal field and over 14 plus years as a practicing attorney in family, estate planning, and probate, guardianship, and appeals. Her care, compassion, and concern for her clients is unrivaled, and her team is dutifully dedicated because your family matters to them. Her litigation and trial practice experience are expansive, and with the complexities of estate planning, her level of comprehension is profound. One such client states, quote, perhaps the most effective attorney in the city, as my case appeared to be hopeless, but she won. Close quote. To have the law office of EVELYN Gordon on your side, please contact her office at 713-489-3397, where your family matters to them. We're back live on the air. We're putting you back together again show. We're talking about divorce and custody before and after I let go with attorney EVELYN Gordon. Now, we touched on earlier in the segment in the show about business. Now, what if the husband, wife, or whatever that dynamic looks like, right? Because it looks different nowadays, right?
Sure.
But they had a business that they ran together, and now it's time to go their separate ways as far as divorce.
Right.
How is that property or that business divided up, and how is that handled?
That's an excellent question because there are a lot of factors that go into that decision. One of them being how is the business established, set up? Is it an LLC? Is it a sole proprietorship? All of those are going to affect how that business gets divided. And an LLC, actually, the court, family law court, cannot divide assets of an LLC. So you're probably going to be looking at whether one person or not is going to be awarded the business and then have a lump sum of money that is owed to the person for their interest in the business. Or there's many routes you could take. When we say we're looking for, it's actually, we always say half or 50-50,
Sure.
but it's a just and right division.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that every single asset has to be half. So
Okay.
you're not going
Okay.
to end up with half a Toyota truck and half
Right.
of a Toyota.
Jaws of life.
So a lot of times we're going to go through and say, okay, here's a home, and technically wife or husband is entitled to 50% net equity, but maybe wife or husband is going to keep the entire home and then forego what interest they would be entitled to in the business.
Okay.
It's going, a lot of factors are going to go.
Yeah.
Who mostly ran the business? Yes.
Gotcha.
And it's a straightforward determination. A lot of people say, oh, I'm confused. What's separate property and what's community property?
Right.
It's very simple. If you didn't own it the day you got married,
There you
it's
go.
community property.
It's community
Hello.
property. Okay.
Hello.
You might need to say that one more time.
Hello.
If you didn't own it when you got married, it's community property. Now, obviously, the exceptions are personal injuries.
Okay.
If you have like a personal injury and you receive money just for that injury, or you inherited something from your family. Those would be the two main exceptions.
Okay.
But just keep in mind, if you didn't own it when you said I do, it's
There you
community
go.
property.
Okay, so
Wow.
up for grabs.
Mhm.
We have
Wow.
another question from Mr. Bowlegs. I have another question concerning child support arrears.
Okay.
What's the question?
So are you, or is your ex, or I guess she has custody, so are you behind in paying child support and trying to catch up, or?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does that work when
Yeah.
in arrears?
Works the same
Can
way.
they
It's
garnish it out of
enforcement.
your
Yes.
paycheck?
Yes.
Like the IRS can garnish your?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Child support is very, very serious. Yes, child support. I'm kind of glad the question came up because child support is very serious. You could end up with a judgment
Mhm.
against your credit for
Oh.
child support, which means obviously you're having difficult purchasing
Yeah.
a home
Yeah.
or restarting
Whoops.
yourself.
Wow.
Child support doesn't go away. So,
Mm.
there might be a day you're in the courtroom and you see like an elderly person, they're like 76. Like, what's that person doing down here for child support?
Oh.
You know why they're down there for child support?
Yeah.
They never paid it before.
They never paid it.
Are you serious?
Child support follows you to the grave. I try and that's simply what I tell people.
Wow. So it's
Child
better to
support
file the
follows
bankruptcy.
you to the grave. Bankruptcy does not get rid
It
of
doesn't
child
get
support.
rid of it. So and you actually get arrested and go to prison, go to jail.
Well, you could go
You
to
do some
jail.
time.
And so it would essentially be what I was explaining to our caller with regard to filing a motion for enforcement. So there's a motion for enforcement for child support, and there's a motion for enforcement for custody, for visitation.
Visitation.
A motion for either one you could ask for jail time.
Wow.
Now, typically the judge, the first 1 or 2 times was not going to order jail because obviously if I put him or her,
They can't
because,
work. to
yes,
pay.
it works both
Yeah.
ways. There are women who are on child support.
That's true.
They don't pay.
Yeah.
They get held in contempt.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
But
crazy.
usually the first 1 or 2 times, if you can show, listen, Your Honor, I just wasn't working. I just didn't have it. I'm
Yeah.
back to work or something like that.
Right.
But
Mhm.
if it's just this adamancy that I'm not paying this person child support,
Mhm.
that's not a good route to go. Really, in
Mm.
any state, but
In any
especially
state.
in
'Cause
Texas.
In Texas.
It's hurting the kids. Back to who is it hurting the most? The children.
It's hurting the children, but also keep in mind there's interest. So
So
so you're not
accumulating.
so if you don't pay now, then
Whoa.
the interest is adding up on your child support.
Wow.
So
Oh,
they'll
my
get you
goodness.
coming or going. So
Right.
pay your child support.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely, and it doesn't go away. I cannot emphasize
not
that.
go
enough.
away.
Child support
Wow.
does not
Unless
go
you
away.
die.
It goes away by you paying
What?
it,
Yeah.
but if you don't pay it, it's going to be there.
It's gonna
Oh,
be there. Now, what
goodness.
if someone tries to get a passport? Can they get a passport if they have all this back child
I
support?
have heard from several individuals that they can get a passport because they have a child support judgment. I have not had an actual client tell me that. Now, there is a state point at which the court will
Yeah.
remove your driver's license
No.
to
Wow.
really get your attention. Yes.
Man.
So there's very serious
It's
consequences.
very serious.
Oh
to
my
not have a
gosh.
passport. Yes, your
Wow.
your license, driver's license can be removed. You can be ordered to take out an insurance policy that the child or the mother,
Mhm.
depending on, usually it's the mother,
Mhm.
is entitled to
Mm.
after you pass away to cover child
So
support.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're the
Okay.
beneficiary.
Wow. So perhaps they can literally take out a life insurance policy,
Mhm.
or
If they can ask the court to order that, absolutely. Mhm.
that is very interesting.
Now you got to be
Yes.
careful and do an
That is very-
autopsy because if that person comes up there, it could be the ex.
Oh, I'm out of there. No criminal
Yeah,
law
no
for me.
criminal. She's not a criminal lawyer, y'all. Okay. Okay, guys, we got to jump to some more points about after you let go. So there's the emotional and mental support that we
Sure.
encourage you to get, especially if you are a domestic violence victim.
Oh, absolutely.
Any resources
Mm.
that you can mention that people can?
Absolutely. There's enormous resources available in Houston that can be tapped into. Harris County, Greater Houston area. I shouldn't say just Houston. There's ABDA. They will provide you with a free attorney if you're in a situation where you're not going to be safe, you and your children. That's ABDA, ABDA. And then there's if you are in a situation, a lot of times getting out has to do with a financial control that
That's true.
domestic abuse
That's
has
right.
over the person. A lot
That's
of times the person who's being abused doesn't have finance.
That's right.
They don't have a job.
Right.
So
That's
they're
right.
wholly dependent.
Yeah.
Then in that instance, you could reach out to organizations like Lone Star Legal Aid.
Mm.
They provide, depending on whether you qualify and meet their standards, they'll provide you with a free attorney.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
There's also Houston Volunteer Lawyers.
Okay.
But there's a great number of women organizations
Yeah.
out there, great number of churches that have
That's right.
Yep.
resources
Yes.
available.
Yep.
Sure do.
A lot of places have allow women and single children to
Mhm.
come and be
Mhm.
safe.
Mhm.
So there's a concerted effort
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
people who are victims of domestic violence
Yeah.
to be safe and
Yes.
move forward.
Exactly.
And it's definitely understood that financial concerns are usually
Mhm.
high on the list as to why people remain in domestic.
Right. And
Violence.
fear that that
Absolutely.
person may retaliate.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely.
We've got
Another
another.
chat.
I believe we have, I know it's Miss Summer Hutchinson is tuned in all the way from Georgia.
Georgia
Oh, okay.
on my mind.
Hey.
And she has shared the video in Georgia. This is a great topic, she says.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in,
Yes.
Summer Hutchinson.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All the way in the Peach Country.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Summer, but I think she's in Atlanta, Georgia somewhere. And then we have Miss Peaches, who has a show here on the station as well. She says, where are you located?
My office is in the Montrose area in Houston, Texas. Mhm.
Peaches, she's in the Montrose area, and I have put her website
Yes.
in the comments. Put her website in the comments. I lost Peaches' comment, but she's on here, tuned in. There she is. She's tuned in on Instagram. Thank you, Peaches. Please
Thank
share this
you.
to inboxes on Instagram for us. This is Miss Evelyn Gordon, attorney at law. She's family law attorney located in the Montrose area, and I have her hyperlink is located in the comments. All you have to do is click the comments, click her comment where I tagged her business, and it'll take you straight to her website, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your love, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, the after I let go, we want to talk about forgiveness. People letting go is about forgiving the other person,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
Whether they cheated on you or whatever happened, if it fell apart, sometimes the season is just over, for whatever reason. But you've got to learn how to forgive and move on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to harbor those feelings long term, because they can affect you emotionally
That's
and
right.
mentally and spiritually, for that matter.
Sure can.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah. And that stops you from moving on with your life. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Mississippi, Alabama, representing Mississippi, Alabama,
All
and
right.
Georgia.
All at
All
once.
right. All right, Miss
That's awesome.
Summer.
We
Yes.
got the South covered.
I know.
Yes.
The South is covered.
Yes.
And so basically just relearning how to just support yourself, love yourself, because some people who got married in their maybe early mid-20s have lived with someone their entire adult life.
Sure.
So they have never lived by themselves. So
Mm.
Frightening.
it is. It's
Mm.
very, very frightening. So again, relearning that to be independent, taking care of yourself, that's part of the healing process.
Sure.
And getting past that, after letting go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else
Well,
you want to add to that?
And I would touch on that again, going back to especially when children are
Yes.
involved. There's been
Yes.
studies, and after
Mhm.
children of divorces were adults,
Mhm.
they would talk about how what they remember and what were the worst things
Wow.
about the divorce
Yeah.
is just the knot and the fear they would have in their stomach as one parent was driving them
Oh
to
gosh.
exchange with the other parent.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then also make speaking with children of divorces and hearing them talk about how they could never say nice things about one parent when they were with the other
Yeah.
parent,
Yes.
or they had to pretend that they didn't really want to go. I don't really
Right.
want to go, but I'm going.
Right.
That's some long-term
Oh,
psychological
that is.
and
That's
spiritual damage
heartbreaking.
that
Oh,
we really are
gosh.
unintentionally doing. I think
Right.
most people
Right.
are unintentionally doing
And
that.
don't realize
So,
that's
yeah.
taking place.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Because of spitefulness.
Mhm.
Yeah, spitefulness.
Yep.
Miss Summer, yes, that's true. Fear of being alone is huge in this young generation.
Yep.
It certainly is. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that, Summer. Yeah, so you've got to be careful in how you portray that other parent.
Mhm.
Even if it was a really tough divorce,
Mhm.
it's always make sure that children's best interest and you're not tearing down that other parent in their presence.
Absolutely.
So keep it
Absolutely.
amicable and keep it peaceful
Mhm.
for your children and for yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Summer Hutchinson just chimed in. She
Yes,
said,
all
"My
right, Miss
daughters
Summer.
are both survivors of domestic
Oh, my
violence.
goodness.
And this past year, I had to understand what they went through." Wow, Summer, first and foremost, we are grateful that you're out of that situation.
Thank God.
And secondly, that you have now understand what your children go through, because perhaps now you can look at some assistance or counseling for them,
That's right.
right?
Absolutely.
And because that plays a not only a short-term effect, but also a long-term effect as well. So thank you for
does.
sharing that information with
thank
us.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. And you don't want, and that's a great point, getting counseling for them, because what you don't want to happen is your children grew up to be abusers and they repeat that cycle.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perpetuation. That's right.
Correct.
Or just that counseling is good, healthy relationships,
That's right.
so that they know what a healthy marriage looks like,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know what it looks like, how
Mhm.
can you actually duplicate
Right.
that?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got to have someone step up and set that example, and
Mhm.
counseling will
Right.
definitely help.
Yeah.
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 Well, guys, this has been a wonderful
Mhm.
show. We gotta
Yes.
definitely have you back on, and we will have you
Yes.
back on.
Yes. This is part one.
This is part one of many more parts, right? We'll do a whole series on this.
Yes.
So that does it for us. Yes, Mr. Producer.
Real quick in closing. I know we're trying to close, but I want to make sure, Ms. Gordon, do you have anything in closing about your business?
No, I think we've covered everything. As CJ has already stated, I offer free half-hour consultations
By
always
phone.
by telephone, just to make sure
That's right.
that you actually really have a legal issue.
Yes.
Or is there just something you can resolve on your own?
On your own.
But again, I just always ask people to be mindful when there's children involved.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
you
Yeah.
handle yourself accordingly.
mm.
Beautiful summation.
Mhm.
Summation was a
Yes.
good word.
Yes.
I think I'm
Yes.
on it here. Okay.
You might
Now,
have a job.
oh, I might have a job. Yeah, you hiring? Okay.
Always.
So, okay. So if you're going through a divorce or thinking about it or just got out of one, there's life after it, you guys.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Your life doesn't end because you went through a divorce, right?
Absolutely.
While the relationship may have died, there is a brand new beginning and new chapter that God has in store for you.
Yep.
We encourage you to consult with a legal expert for guidance and take advantage of the vast resources available to you. Divorce is a loss, so give yourself time to grieve and to heal, right?
Mhm.
And you'll come out much stronger, better, and wiser on the other side of it. God is able to keep you from falling. So thanks again for joining us, and be sure to like us and follow us on social media. I love you, and be sure to love yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
blessed.
Yes. And highly favored.
Yes.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Again.
So that was great.
Wow.